Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out to the last board meeting of 2024. We appreciate it. The board met in executive session and did the salute to the flag. I am going to read the statement of public notice now. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of Berners Township. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was provided, and copies of that resolution were forwarded to the official newspapers as designated by the Board of Education and to the Township Clerk, and a copy of the notice was posted on the bulletin board of the Board of Education offices. For those members of the public who cannot attend our meeting in person, a live stream link to the meeting is posted on the district website. We very much welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during regular meetings that the public is invited to speak. One time is early in the meeting before the board votes, when you may speak about any item that is listed on tonight's agenda. Towards the end of the meeting, there is another public forum to address any matter of public concern related to the schools. When you approach the microphone, please state your name and address. Please also write your name and address on the sign-in sheet. Each statement may be made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. No participant may speak more than once during a given public comment session. The first public comment session will be limited to 30 minutes, and the second will be unlimited. In order to run efficient meetings and to allow maximum opportunity for members of the public to speak, the board reserves the right to set a different time limit for individual comments and the overall time limit for the public comment portion of the agenda. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No participant may address or question board members individually. Please understand that public comment portions of our agenda are not structured as question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. The board and administration will respond to public comments to the extent possible. Any board responses to public comments will generally be addressed during board forum or committee reports. However, all comments are considered and will be investigated and addressed as appropriate. Please be courteous and mindful of the rights of others when speaking. Comments may not be abusive, obscene, threatening, or irrelevant. Please understand that students and employees have specific legal and privacy protections. The board is not permitted to respond in public to comments about students and employees. Please also understand that the board will not be responsible for the content of comments made by members of the public. Members of the public are cautioned that they are speaking at their own risk, and any personally directed statements they may make may subject them to legal liability to the affected individual. If it is necessary for the board to go into executive session at the end of the meeting, we will provide an estimated length of time for this session and whether any action is anticipated to be taken upon returning to public session. Jim, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Salmon?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Ms. Light?
Here.
Ms. Corrado?
Here.
Ms. McCune?
Here.
Mr. Molinari?
Here.
Mr. Amin?
Here.
Ms. Chipok? And Mr. Shaw?
Here.
Thanks, Jim. All right, Jared Ratio, you're up for the student report from Ridge.
Thank you, Mr. Salmon. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jared Ratio, and I'm the Vice President of the School-Wide Student Government here at Ridge. Unfortunately, Joseph could not be here tonight, so I will be filling in. I'm excited to share some updates happening at our school. To begin, I'd like to highlight 2 exceptional members of our faculty who've been awarded as our Teachers/Professionals of the Year. Our Educational Services Professional of the Year is Ms. Wurtenberg, our incredible school psychologist and Thrive leader with over 10 years of service in the district. Our Teacher of the Year is Mrs. Ward, an outstanding social studies teacher with over 13 years of experience in our school. On December 3rd, Ridge celebrated its World Language Excellence with the induction of students into the National Honor Societies for American Sign Language, French, Italian, Latin, and Spanish. Each society held their own performances to make their night special. I'd like to extend my congratulations to all of those inducted. On the arts front, Ridge has been alive with music during our winter concert season. Both the orchestra and band delivered moving performances, drawing impressive turnouts from the community. These concerts are a celebration of our students' hard work and the incredible support of our music educators. The season will conclude this Wednesday, December 18th, with the choir winter concert at 7 p.m. right here in the PAC. I encourage everyone to come out and enjoy an evening of beautiful music. Our athletic teams, to no surprise, are also off to a great start. Wrestling is 2-0, winning both of their first matches by a margin of over 40 points. Hockey has been equally impressive, starting the season 3-1-1, including an exciting 4-2 victory over Robbinsville last week. On the track, 3 Ridge athletes made the top 10 performances list during just the first meet of the season last Monday. Additionally, Ridge football had 8 players named to the first team All-Division and 3 to the second team. Our unified sports team also made us proud, earning the bronze medal in the Special Olympics at NJ Unified Cup. Finally, both the girls and boys fencing team have started out with a 1-0 record. Looking ahead, our student government has been hard at work preparing for the second half of the year. At a recent Marking Period 2 meeting, we had the opportunity to meet with our principal, Dr. Lazovic, to discuss important changes coming to the district and resources that students and families can access through the Restoring Focus website, so they can be further part of the conversation about the environments that promote focus and engagement during the school day. Thank you, as always, for your time and support of the Ridge community. It is a privilege to represent our incredible school, and I look forward to seeing many of you at upcoming events. Have a good rest of your evening.
Thanks, Jared. Any questions for Jared? No? Great job. All right, we're going to be going down to the seating area to have a concert by the a cappella group under the direction of Miss Beadle.
Thank you so much for having us. My name is Carol Beadle, and I have the honor of being the Ridge High School Choir Director. We appreciate you taking a little bit of time for your meeting for you to hear some of the music that we've been working on. The first piece you're going to hear is called Desh. It is a piece that is supposed to sound like Carnatic classical Indian music, and it's based off of a raga, which is a type of scale in Carnatic music, and all of the notes that you hear in it come from that scale. There is no direct translation. It's basically just sound effects that would be improvised using that scale. In the beginning, it's beautiful and slow, and it's in a really interesting 7/8 time signature, which was a fun challenge for them. And then it speeds up into a fast-paced, more percussive sound. So this is Desh. mix, and we are going to sing I'll Be Home for Christmas next. We've had the pleasure of being all around town and all throughout the community, singing in different places of worship and the library and Ridge Oak Senior Housing. We went to Radio City last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, and got to open for the Rockettes Christmas Spectacular, which was so much fun. We were in Baltusrol on Saturday. We were at the Somerville Caroling Festival. It's been so much fun just traveling and taking this great group of people from our community out into our community. So it's been really lovely. This is I'll Be Home for Christmas. Before we sing our last song, I just want to get a chance to say thank you to all of you. This doesn't just happen in one season. This doesn't just happen in one year, even though they did get their music in June and have been working for a very long and hard time. But it happens over many years of support and music education, and I've had the pleasure of seeing it at many levels, being at Liberty Corner and now at Ridge. And this is a very, very special district. Oh, I'm getting all teary just thinking about it. I try to instill in them a sense of gratitude and like, look where we are, this amazing facility. And if you ever go into the choir room, it's got big windows and so much light, and it is such a safe place for so many of them. And thank you for supporting it and being here and doing what you do for this district. This is Dance of the Sugar Plum, which they're going to sing on Wednesday. I should say that our concert's Wednesday, and you should all come, 7 o'clock here. And they're going to try singing it for the first time without me leading it. We're going to see how that goes, because this is a pop arrangement made famous by the Pentatonics with Menon, who is going to be beatboxing and showing off a little bit of his range on this one. So this is Dance of the Sugar Plum.
That was fantastic. Thank you so much to Ms. Beadle and all the kids. That was amazing. I think probably next year is a good time to go full Griswold and get Nick in the ugly sweater and Jim passing out eggnog while we celebrate, right? Okay, we are up to superintendent's report. There are 5 items. Can I have a motion for those, please? Keith and Janice. Thank you. Nick?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Salmon. So the Code of Conduct report and school safety data report being submitted to the board. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to take those, or if there's any follow-up after you've had more time to take a look at it. But this will be posted for the community as well. When we do the minutes, this will be hyperlinked for everyone's look-see. In terms of overall, I know a couple people asked some questions related to HIB and the number of investigations from last year to this year. Overall, it was about the same number of confirmed. Last year, we were at 44, this year 40, so I know that question came up. The second item is this month's HIB report. The third item is an educational research project. We have a professor that's been doing some work with one of our middle school teachers, and this is kind of an extension to some of the project work that she's been doing at Annan. There's an overnight trip for Ridge High School to do a Model UN activity in New York City. They've done this in the past, but since it's an overnight trip, it requires board approval. And finally, we have a new high school competition team for a varsity sport. I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to that particular item because we added a little bit to the end of the statement, so I will read the revised statement in full. The Berners Township Board of Education does hereby approve the addition of the girls' flag football team as a Ridge High School varsity competition team for the 2025-26 school year, so spring of 26, but they would begin participating in non-varsity game schedules this spring 2025. So I just want to clarify that one item. That's it.
Thanks, Nick. Any questions? Nope. Okay, Jim, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Ms. McCune?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
And Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Thanks, Jim. We're up to public comment on agenda items. If you'd like to make a public comment on something on the agenda, please come on up. State your name and address. Please sign in with your name and address, and then you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Save your time. Wait, is this on? Maybe it's not. Sign afterwards. Anyway, I also just want, Debbie Marcus, 16 Lafayette Lane, want to append to the compliments to the, at least for the record, for the chorus group. Miss Beadle was at Liberty Corner, and I still holds a place in our heart for shepherding my own kids through a lot of artistic endeavors, and it's really a great feature of our school system. And happy holidays to everyone, and I hope everyone enjoys their break and we get out early tonight. I was just looking over the committee reports. It's great that we have that transparency. I first wanted to commend the facilities reporting, the way they do it, of putting the work order status and the matrices of how much they've accomplished each week and closed per week. Really helps us get a handle on what's going on in our district, since these are some of the major expenses. And I applaud the committee members, Molinari, SIPAC, and the staff members, Rollo, Markarian, and Mick Lee for their efforts on this, and encourage you to continue it. Glancing at the curriculum report, I did see a nice change to the math requirements, abilities to take statistics. I thought that was great, that you're able to take the AP level without having taken pre-calculus, which any mathematician will tell you are, they're both important, but are different tracks of the way it's taught. So thank you for doing that. I did have a question. Again, I'm sure there was reasoning. I just wasn't clear from the charts that were provided, where it makes it harder to change tracks from CP or honors to an AP in the English tracks. You have to have a higher grade in the other classes, which is fine if teachers were finding that students were struggling, if they were approved when they had A minus or a B minus instead of the solid A and B. But the charts that were included were really just the list of the attempts at appeals and whether they were approved or denied. So if there was an educational reason to make it harder to get into the AP English classes, that's great. But if it was really just to keep the classes smaller, I would request that maybe that would be reconsidered. And then finally, with the, what's it called, the wellness report, I had a nice discussion with Superintendent Markarian about hiring Joy Roots. I appreciated his time to go through that, and I was, okay with, trying it out. I do just want to say that, because some people thought it was helpful, doesn't necessarily mean it is, and I do continue to encourage you to figure out a way to evaluate whether spending, $10,000 almost for about currently 15 teachers for one of the training sessions is effective and cost effective. Like, even if it's a little bit effective, could we get more out of a different program? Or it seems like a lot of it is about having empathy for people, which is great, but it could also be a little bit of the placebo effect. Like in medicine, if you're treating it and focusing on it, that it gets better, no matter whether you spent a little or a lot on it. So just as you go forward with, it looks like, we want to keep using this group, please have a way to evaluate so we can ensure that, especially if this becomes a multi-year project, that the funds are being used efficiently. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Marcus. Anybody else for public comment on agenda items tonight? Okay, great. We'll close public comment on agenda items. Anything?
Kristen was
Sure.
jumping on the one.
Yep.
I can speak to the change in criteria for the ELA courses that I think you referenced. The first one is really about students who want to make a double jump. So they're in a CP course and they want to go to an AP course. And so there was feedback from the staff that that's a big jump to take when you're going 2 levels. And so students who are earning the higher grade, typically do perform better when they make a double jump. So it's a lot to make a double jump. And the second change really is applying to distinguishing the criteria for placing or staying in an honors course versus moving into an AP course. So currently the criteria is the same for both honors and AP, coming from a CP course or staying in an honors course. And so this is really to distinguish between students and the criteria for entering into an honors course versus entering into an AP course. And it is based on, extensive study, analysis of data that the English department, the teachers and the supervisor did this summer. So they based the recommendation on looking on several years of performance of students kind of moving through the levels. And I would just add that the add-drop analysis charts that you saw are separate from this recommendation. That was just an analysis of the different scheduling movements we've had really since June 1st to November 13th, and kind of looking at the windows of time we have where students can make requests to change courses or move up or down from courses during the different scheduling windows. Yeah.
Thanks, Kristen. Anything else on that? No? Okay. We are up to the Finance Committee report. There are 15 items. Can I have a motion for that, please? Minutes. I'm sorry. Approval of minutes. Yes. There is one item there. Can I have a motion for that, please? Jen and Robin. Jim, could you hold the roll, please?
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Abstain.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Ms. McCune?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
And Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Don't worry, I'm not trying to get out of here early. Okay. The Finance Committee report, we have 15 items there. Can I have a motion for that, please? Dave and Kirsten. Facilities met on November 14th. The first item for discussion was about maintenance staffing. Mr. Rollo and Mr. Mickley, who's the Director of Facilities, would like to accelerate the plan to move all maintenance work to our in-house team. We currently have 2 HVAC techs and a plumber in-house and a painter candidate that we approved last time, I believe. Right, Sean? So we have an electrician, a carpenter, and 2 general maintenance workers positions outstanding. Mr. Rollo would like to post for the electrician and carpenter positions immediately so they can start by July 1st. When staffing of an in-house maintenance team is complete, we would have 8 specialized staff members to replace the current 11-person team, which includes 8 general maintenance workers, and projected savings are about $100,000 a year. Mr. Rollo has projected that the current in-house HVAC techs and plumber will reduce the cost of outside contractors by about $200,000 for this school year. To the extent the board supports this initiative, Mr. Rollo explained that our board for custodial grounds and maintenance in the spring would not include a maintenance component. It will not include a maintenance component. Mr. Rollo said that Bill Richter, who is the president of Advocate, which is the district's consultant on basically everything that Aramark does, believed that removing maintenance from the bid would get better competition because custodial and grounds are easier positions to staff than maintenance. The next item for discussion was audit results update. Scott Cleland from the district's audit firm will be coming in December to go over the audit for the 23-24 school year. Mr. Rollo expects one finding related to the timing of depositing of student activities monies. Mr. Rollo may consider obtaining a remote deposit machine for the main office at Ridge High School so checks can be deposited without going to the bank. The next item was an ACERS audit cap. ACERS is an acronym, was a COVID-related grant of about $1.2 million for costs related to special education students that stayed in district beyond their 21 years of age. Mr. Rollo explained that the state audited the district's use of grant funds and found a clerical error where a $15,000 cost was counted twice. The state will provide an action plan to ensure the correction. The next item was about electricity rate increases. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland is altogether PJM, is a neutral independent party that coordinates the movement of wholesale electricity, which essentially sells electricity to local providers like JCP&L, is a wholesaler. PJM said that the cost of electricity will increase from 28 megawatts a day to 280 megawatts a day as of June 1st, 2025. Mr. Rollo explained that this increase will likely result in about a 20% increase in electricity costs for the district. The district's cost of electricity for 23-24 school year was a little over $788,000. The committee discussed options for renewable energy sources. Currently, the district has 2 solar arrays, one on the roof at Ridge High School and one on the roof at WAMS. The solar arrays are owned by the county because they paid to have them installed and serviced. Our school district has a 15-year agreement with the county to purchase the electricity that is generated by the 2 solar arrays. Mr. Rollo has looked into possible construction of a solar array over the Ridge High School D lot. Unfortunately, the cost of steel, which would support the solar arrays, is incredibly high right now. He will do more research into more options for renewable energy solutions. There was an update on the direct install projects. The direct install program from JCP&L was used to replace Liberty Corner rooftop units and upgrade lighting fixtures, and the program will come back online January 1st, 2025. Currently, Cedar Hill qualifies for about $1.5 million worth of HVAC, boiler, and lighting replacements and upgrades at a cost of a little over $750,000 to the district, which is a 54% savings on the work. Oak Street School qualifies for about $925,000 worth of boiler and lighting replacements and upgrades, which would cost the district $332,000, which is a 66% savings. The committee supports moving ahead with these projects and asks that Mr. Rollo look into financing since the Liberty project offered 0% financing. Currently, Mount Prospect School does not yet qualify for the direct install program. The qualification is based on average utility usage over a 12-month look back. The good news is that the threshold was increased for the direct install program, and we've had a warm fall. Mr. Rollo is looking into that right now, and we think that Mount Prospect might qualify at some point. The last item was a budget calendar update. Mr. Rollo reviewed the list of capital projects planned for 25-26 school year, which includes the summer of 2025. Those projects are the Mount Prospect roof replacement, Mount Prospect play area fence, district-wide flooring, Liberty Corner art room casework, the Ridge sidewalk and brick repair, Cedar Hill direct install, and Oak Street direct install. As far as the items on the agenda, most of them are kind of normal items, I would say. The Mount Prospect roof is on as item number 8, and the remaining items 10 through 15 are student services. Any questions for or about finance? Nope. Okay, Jim, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Ms. McCune?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
And Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Thanks, Jim. There's the next is Personnel Committee report. There are 15 items. Can I have a motion for that, please? Kirsten and Robin. And then, Robin, you have a report?
No, we just met on Friday, so I'll report out next time.
Oh, okay. Got it. Any questions about the items we are voting on tonight for personnel? Nope. Okay, Jim, call the roll, please.
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Ms. McCune?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin? And Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Thank you. We're up to the Policy Committee report. There are 2 items. Can I have a motion for those, please? Keith and Janice. Dave, no report, right?
No, no meeting.
Okay. Any questions about the items we are voting on? School district calendar and second reading of school district calendar? Nope. Okay. Jim, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Ms. McCune?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
And Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Thanks, Jim. We're up to the Curriculum Committee report. There are 3 items. Can I have a motion for that, please? Jen and Kirsten. And Jen, you have the report from December 6th.
Yes. We started by talking about 3 new ELA electives. The following course recommendations come from an ELA evaluation, which found that Ridge offers fewer electives in ELA than other subjects and in comparison to other districts. These are all CP level courses and will be options for students in grades 10 through 12 who have a B- or better in a 9th grade ELA course. Each course will be a semester in length. Additional staff is not needed, and only courses that are fully enrolled will run. Summer work will need to be completed so that these courses can run in the fall of 2025. First is Women in Literature. This course offers students the opportunity to explore female authors, poets, filmmakers, essayists, historical figures, and activists. Students will examine novels, memoirs, television episodes, films, poetry, and prose written by and about women dealing with the following topics: women as trailblazers, women as partners, women as rebels, and women as survivors. The next is Science Fiction and Fantasy. Students will explore and analyze both classic and modern works of science fiction, dystopian fiction, magical realism, and fantasy, including selections from popular media. Through these fictional worlds, students will examine how social structures and identities shape characters and narratives, considering speculative fiction as a lens for social commentary. And the third one is Mystery, Thriller, and Suspense. This semester course offers students the opportunity to explore foundational and contemporary mysteries, thrillers, and horror suspense titles. Students will learn how to differentiate between genres and subgenres with a focus on how authors build suspense, create atmosphere, and subvert the expectations of their readers. In addition, the course will focus on all types of suspenseful storytelling with film and television clips, audiobooks, and podcasting. Next, we just went over a change in curriculum course titles, and the shift will help students and parents better understand the progression within the band program, motivate students to strive for higher levels of performance, and promote the program's structure and excellence within the school community. Concert Band 9 is designed primarily for 9th grade students as an introductory level ensemble. Concert Band, which serves as a mixed level, is an intermediate ensemble, and Wind Ensemble is the most advanced of the group. So Symphonic Band was formerly called Concert Band, and the proposed change from Concert Band to Symphonic Band enhances the band's program's core structure by addressing the need for clear level differentiation. The adjustment is particularly important given the current ensemble offerings, and formerly Concert Band 9 will now be Concert Band, and this change is a result of the name change to Symphonic Band. The new name provides a clear delineation between ensemble levels as follows: Concert Band, designed primarily for 9th grade students as an introductory level ensemble. Next, we talked about this previously about the psychology elective textbook. A set of this current textbook is available for use, and we received the set at no cost. The version is 12 years newer than we're currently using. The textbook has been fully vetted, and teachers are requesting to begin using it, and the committee supports use of this textbook. We had a number of discussion items. We discussed extended IS and high-impact tutoring analysis. Grant money due to COVID was used to provide this added instructional support. The grant has concluded. Extended IS was offered the previous few summers. The goal of the summer support was to help students maintain skill levels. High-impact tutoring ran before and after school. Both MAP and NJ-SLA scores were analyzed for students participating in the program. Neither program will run again unless they are included as part of the budget, and continued discussion will take place before any recommendation for summer intervention will take place. There was a marking period 1 grade analysis. Each marking period grades are analyzed and specifically examined as the number of students receiving D's or E's, and typically these students have been previously identified, but the report shows which courses students are struggling with the most. The team of supervisors follow up yearly with teachers if any trends are discovered. Then there was an analysis of the add drops. Each scheduling season includes lengthy discussions as to how many sections of each course to run. It's difficult to be exact, though, because the number of students who request a course changes so much from April, after students make initial requests, to October, when students can add or drop a course. Therefore, seat availability must be a factor when students want to add or drop a course and can impact the appeals process. 5 years ago, teachers began making recommendations, including recommendations with reservations of courses and levels for students to help guide them when selecting courses for the following year. But these recommendations are not binding. Last year, for the first time, an academic fair was held to provide an opportunity for students to learn specifics about courses, and the fair will be offered again. Communication with students about course expectations and workload is really important in being provided. Providing opportunities for students, but also support for success, is a continual balance. Upon analysis, it appears this year's students dropped multiple classes in their schedule. In some classes, there's a correlation between students enrolling at a level that they were not recommended to take and a high level of drops. This was the case for both Enriched Chemistry and Honors Spanish 3. Enriched Algebra 2 was another course that saw a high percentage of drops. In this course, 3/4 of the drops were by 11th grade students. This is a newer course, and therefore it's recommended to track it for another year before making any changes to the requirement. Committee held a lengthy discussion about the advantages and disadvantages of allowing students the opportunity to try higher level courses, as well as discussed how success is considered to students can vary. One student may be very pleased receiving a B in an honors or AP course, where another student may view a B as unacceptable. Then we talked about the scheduling season, the program of studies, the amendments at a glance. Before the December break, parents and students will receive a letter outlining the launch of this planning season. Academic planning night for rising freshmen will be on January 29th at Ridge, and details for the academics planning are still being finalized. And then there were a couple of course prerequisite changes. As far as other course changes, and updates have been provided on all other courses except these following two. For math, CP Statistics has been added as an alternate prerequisite course for AP Statistics, and removal of CP Pre-Calculus as a viable level change to CP Statistics. And for ELA, raising the criteria from advancing from CP to AP courses from an A- or better to an A or better is applicable to students in CP English 10 and CP English 11. And to raise the criteria for advancing from honors to AP courses from a B- or better to a B or better, applicable to students in honors American Literature and honors British Literature. And our next meeting will be January 3rd.
Thanks, Jen. Any questions about curriculum or the items we're voting on tonight? No? Okay, Jim, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Salmon?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Ms. Light?
Yes.
Ms. Corrado?
Yes.
Ms. McCune?
Yes.
Mr. Molinari?
Yes.
Mr. Amin?
Yes.
And Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Thanks, Jim. We're up to the Wellness Committee report. Janice, you have a report for us? Great, thanks.
This was a meeting that was held on November 21st. The first item we discussed was the Joy Roots WAMS professional development proposals. Ms. Fox shared 3 proposals for staff professional development. The first is a virtual coaching sessions for already trained WAMS staff. This would be 4 sessions through the 2024-2025 school year. It's an opportunity for the 22 staff members who've already undergone 2-day training to ask and get advice on specific issues from Joy Roots experts. The cost of those sessions is $2,000. February 26th, there will be a professional development day. Joy Roots proposed providing 2 sessions, a first session at William Annan for the entire WAMS staff, and a second session at Ridge for the entire district staff. That cost would be $2,000 per session. The third option is a 2-day restorative practices training for a second cohort of WAMS teachers. As of November 20th, 15 WAMS teachers have expressed interest in this training. All district content area supervisors would attend as well. This session would allow for 30 attendees, and this would be scheduled before June 2025. The cost of that training would be $9,500. In light of the feedback provided by Ms. Hudak and the proposals shared by Ms. Fox, the committee recommends proceeding with the following for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year. 4 virtual coaching sessions for already trained WAM staff. 1 additional Joy Roots Professional Develop session for all WAM staff on February 26th. A 2-day restorative practices training for the 2nd cohort of WAM staff and district supervisors. The total cost for these 3 proposals is $13,500. This will be covered by Title II and Title IV funds. The committee also discussed potential plans for the next school year in which WAM staff that has been trained can train additional staff, and the district could purchase coaching sessions to assist the trained and newly trained staff members. The second item the committee discussed was the Panorama survey update. Ms. Fox shared that fall 2024 survey responses from 861 WAM students and 876 Ridge students regarding school culture and climate. Panorama will be providing the committee an executive summary by the end of the year. In addition to the Panorama survey questions about school culture and climate, students were asked how they feel about the new school start times. At WAMS, 45% of the students responded favorably. At Ridge, 85% responded favorably. Students also were surveyed regarding their thoughts about the use of cell phones and social media throughout the school day. These student responses will be among the factors the district considers in updating policy regarding cell phone and technology use later this year. Ms. Fox explained that counselors can use the Panorama survey results on an individual and small group level and addresses issues such as academic performance, attendance, behavior, etc. This is because Panorama integrates with Genesis. The district purchased a 1-year license for Panorama. The administration will bring specific examples of the use of Panorama back to the committee so the BOE can evaluate whether to continue with Panorama in the future. The third item we discussed was a Restoring Focus update. Dr. Lazovic shared information about 2 recent initiatives. One was a book talk on the anxious generation, held November 19th, and then he provided an update on the Family Screen Time Challenge at Ridge and WAMS. During the month of October, results from the Restoring Focus Screen Time Challenge are being compiled. These will be reviewed by a team of administrators and technology specialists. The goal is to develop and implement a pilot program for cell phone use in school for the 2nd semester of the school year. The results of this pilot will help determine district policy for September 2025. And we also discussed HIB update, which Mr. Markarian has already reported on. The next Wellness Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, December 19th.
Thanks, Janice. Any questions about wellness? Nope. Oh, yeah, Keith.
Yeah, thoughts. I was at the book club talk, which was very good. The anxious generation, there's a lot of data in there. I think it supports our efforts toward what we're trying to curtail cell phone use. One thing to kind of pivot and use as a segue, though, data as far as the Joy Roots program, I attended a couple of the trainings, and it was good. It was, as Ms. Marcus referred to, it was empathy-based training, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. And my understanding is that the feedback is that some staff members like that. And that's pretty much what we're going on to expand the program. I've been through a lot of empathy training in corporate America. It's good stuff, and people tend to like it. Without any other data, though, I have concerns about going in deeper in this direction financially. We're already 20 grand in for the initial buy-in. Now we're going 13 more. Now we're discussing expanding next year. And this is exactly what we've talked about for a couple of years, the endless consultants without any data. Now, I understand we're trying to get HIBs under control. I would say we definitely should have a plan B here, and that should probably be another look at progressive discipline with a harder starting point, a more strict starting point, Because the fact of the matter is, and this may be a little bit of a divergence of philosophies, nothing we do here is going to help unless the parents are on board. Nothing we do here is going to help unless parents enforce discipline at home. We can have all the talking sessions we want, but unless the punishment is hitting his kids so hard that they're feeling it at home, it's not going to work. I mean, I think most of us on this dais or out in that audience know what would happen if, back in our day, if we got caught picking on somebody smaller or weaker than us. Wouldn't be good. Parents have to enforce it at home. So I have big reservations about continuing going down this road. I hope, again, like I said when we first brought Dry Roots on, I hope it works. We better really be considering our backup plans if we want to get this under control.
I do have some additional information that we discussed during the meeting. There is data being collected now. There's only been really 2 trainings so far, so we are still in the process of collecting data, and the teachers are still in the process of implementing what they're learning. But WAM's teachers are keeping logs regarding the implementation of the restorative practices in their classrooms. This anecdotal data, along with data provided through the Panorama survey results, will guide the next steps in the staff training. School counselors are using the practice technique regularly with their individual students and in small groups. So the feedback from the counselors has been very positive. The WAM's administrative team has also been using circles regularly for their grade level and council meetings. For example, during Viking Voices character education lessons, 22 staff members who participated in the 2-day training were paired with 22 teachers who had not yet been trained. And this provides an opportunity for teachers to observe the circles in action and to discuss them with trained staff afterwards. So part of that turnkey operation is really sort of underway already. Teachers who participated in the training have been using them primarily so far for academics. They report that students who previously had been hesitant to share their thoughts are more comfortable speaking out in the circle setting, which is a positive. Teachers said that they would like more individualized training and coaching before implementing the restorative practices in response to behavioral incidents. So that was why I think the recommendation was made to have those 4 coaching sessions before the end of the year. And a small group of trained WAMs, teachers, counselors, and administrators will be visiting other schools already using restorative practices to observe and to consider next steps for turnkey implementation.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've had a lot going on and my memory might not serve, but I thought that we were going to do a train-the-trainer type thing so that we wouldn't have to have continuous consultants coming through with this. And I thought that that was the understanding of why we agreed to it, because we did not get from the consultant the data that we were actually looking for, and that was our significant hesitation. So now we're becoming the data test case for this consultant, and he's provided us with no success measures from previous programs that they've implemented. So my concern is we're spending more money on something that we said we were going to do more of a train-the-trainer approach on, and we agreed to move forward. I don't want to become the data test case for the data that he had promised to show us in the first place.
Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with what they're saying. I think we need to get more data to see that it is working. So I am not against spending more money to continue this, but I do want to see the data behind it. Initially, I don't agree with doing progressive discipline. I think we've talked about that, and it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we said that usually when we've had a case of someone getting in trouble, it's been one case and they've stopped. So I don't think we necessarily have to go to that progressive discipline. Now, if this doesn't work and we continue along the path, maybe we rethink that in the future, but I don't think we're at that point today.
Jen, go ahead.
I just want to clarify, because we are doing the train. That's the goal. And what was reported a number of times following meetings is that the teachers who were initially trained with the first session didn't feel that they're ready yet to train, and that's why we have the 4 coaching sessions between now and the end of the school year, and the goal is so that we can train another 30 staff members so that next year we will be moving to the train to train. So that is the exact plan. As far as data, I don't think we're providing data for other districts because what other districts necessarily are looking into and using this for doesn't necessarily align. All districts are different based on their demographics, based on their economics, based on what the issues are within their school. So in terms of having data, yes, we will get more data, and that's one of the things that we have asked. But Joy Roots has been here 2 different sessions. You got to give them a little bit more time to do what we've asked them to do. And the first thing that we paid for was three different times for them to come, and the 3rd time that they're coming is the next in-service day, and that's what we had contracted them for. So we've got to at least get through that, and then they can get us some data. I do have to say, I think your outlook is a little bit darker than mine. I do 100% agree that parents have to be on board. And I do 100% agree that when parents in the school can partner and work together, you can see improvements faster. But I don't think that one can say that if a school does something, it can't make any change. I think that we have amazing teachers who, with or without the parents buying into something, have the ability to make great change and offer great supports to our students.
So, oops, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah,
We'll get back.
just a couple things. To your point earlier, Dave, yes, the majority, and please correct me if I'm wrong, of these incidents are first-time and one-time offenders. My thought would be if the beginning of that progressive discipline was stricter right off the bat, that might deter some kids. To your point, Jen, I don't think it's a dark outlook to put the primary responsibility for children's behavior on the parents. I think that's a realistic outlook. Parents are responsible for the children's education. They delegate that responsibility to public schools. They delegate that. So we are stewards of that. So I see us being 6 figures in, still chasing data and still buying classes and not knowing what the results are. And another thing to consider, yeah, we're using Title II and Title IV funds for this, but they can be used for other things. Mm-hmm. And beyond the money, which and I get it, in a big $110 million budget is not in and of itself significant or a big chunk of it, but I've said this multiple times, and I'm going to say it as long as I'm up here, big numbers are made up of little numbers. And besides which, time that we spend on this, or that our staff spends on this, also comes with opportunity cost. Training spent on this, if it turns out not to be effectual, is wasted opportunity time. That time could have been spent on something else. So, like I said, I just had major concerns about it. And again, I hope it works. But I think we should be developing Plan Bs for it. That's.
Janice, go ahead.
Yeah, I do want to point out that we were discussing that one time was related to HIB reporting, but there's also code of conduct and discipline issues that aren't necessarily resolved in one, with one particular issue and one particular discipline approach. So I think that it's something that's, we are focusing, and we should be, on HIB, but there's also other disciplinary situations that Joy Roots can help us resolve.
So my one line, to kind of repivot this and focus back though, the whole genesis of a Train the Trainer program is to get a certain number of teachers really well versed in this so that they can train the trainer. So now what's being proposed is we're expanding this to 30 more teachers. So now there's 30 more teachers that have this initial level training rather than investing those funds with the original people that we had to train the trainer. If we were even to move forward with the training, I would prefer to see the teachers that were originally chosen for this program to get more in-depth training rather than training somebody new, Because that defeats the whole, that's like, well, why don't we just have all the
Yeah,
teachers do the training?
I think the way it was outlined might have been a little confusing. So the folks that were initially trained, those trainers, were paying $2,000 for those folks to have essentially office hours with Joy Roots. So what we heard was they really like the training, they're starting to implement it, but situations are arising, or situations could arise where they want additional training on top of that. So those trainers are just getting these office hours in kind of like the fall. Then we're bringing in 15 additional people who are very excited about the program and also wanted to become trainers, learn more about it. So that's the $9,500. So just to finish up, so the people that went first, they did not feel comfortable acting as trainers yet. So they needed kind of like what Keith was saying, like we're not seeing any data, like they don't feel comfortable implementing the Joy Roots restorative practices yet in the circles. So they wanted to have another semester where they can implement this and have office hours and have access to more back and forth with the people that from Joy Roots. So by the time next spring rolls around, those folks, those initial folks that went, should be fully trained. Then we have a second group that will also be fully trained because they're coming in the fall, and then we'll have a full group of trainers, right? Because you'll have the first group that was trained, had the office hours, went through the full training. You'll have the second group that went through the initial training, and they can follow up with the first group. So then you will have a full complement of trainers in our district. And we talked about this at the Wellness Committee, like what happens after that, and there could be some ongoing component of office hours related to Joy Roots, but there did not seem to be any other big training seminars, as far as I can tell, at WAMS. If this works and people like it, then it could be expanded to other schools in the district, but for right now, the focus was WAMS. So do you understand how the training was working?
I understand that, but you're still introducing new trainers rather than focusing on the original ones that can train others.
Because they're not ready yet. So like, what if 3 people leave the district or 2 people decide they don't want to be trainers, right?
So they're not ready yet because they're not able to train, but we need to get them ready so that they can train the rest of the staff in the district, rather than introducing 15 new people that will have the first training, but then won't have the office hours and the whatnot.
No, they will.
The
That's
$9,500 training.
No, that will happen then, right? So like I said, the office hours could be like an ongoing component that anybody that's been trained can access. So
Can I just clarify? The first 15 people, they are going to continue to be given training. This from January till June. They have he's calling them office hours. There are going to be 4 more sessions. The Joy Roots will be available. So a teacher, I'm kind of making this scenario, a teacher can have tried something in their classroom and want some feedback, can go to one of these sessions and say, this is what happened, this is how I handled it, can you give me some feedback on what would you do differently, this is what I think worked, how could I tweak it? So those initial teachers, we're going to have 4 more sessions of training. In addition to that, another batch are going to get trained. They will also be able to utilize those 4 sessions, because then we're being able to have twice the number next fall that will all be available to train the trainer.
And is that session for the 15 additional trainers part of the initial investment? Or is that additional?
No, that's additional.
No,
that's the $9,500 additional.
Yes, that's different.
Right.
And
So-
that's kind of my point.
Well, I mean, that's what we heard from the staff was that when staff that were not involved in the first training heard about the initial training, they were excited and they wanted to hear more about it, and they themselves wanted to be trained. So that's kind of what I heard at the training session that I went to, where some of the staff said, you know, is this going to be another thing where we just try it, there's no follow-up, or it kind of peters out? And we kept saying kind of at the committee, like, if we're going to really invest in this like we already have, we should capitalize on the momentum and keep things periodically happening in this program so that we get to the full training point, and then we can see, does train the trainer implementation work, right? So like, to kind of Keith's point about, we did the training, and then where's the data? I guess that was one thing that I understood from Joy Roots was, what do you want? How do you want to measure this? And like if we want, like when we initially started this project, it was, we are seeing a large portion of our HIBs, or a predominant portion of our HIBs, related to racial and biased language, right? So we have to see whether that category of HIBs is affected by this training, if that's the metric we want to use. So if that's, because we're using, this is a proactive approach, right? The progressive discipline is a reactive approach. So, and like you said, we don't have repeat offenders, so like this isn't gonna cater to that population. That's already kind of taking care of itself. So if we're trying to use this program in a proactive way to reduce the number of HIBs that are related to racial language or biased language, this is the next step to get to more staff members in WAMs using restorative practices to spread this message amongst the kids, so that hopefully they think twice about using that language, and we see the number of racially or religious or ethnically motivated HIBs come down as a proportion of the overall HIB count. So that's where that came out, but I know it was a little confusing in terms of the proposal. Any other questions or comments about that?
I just wanted to jump in too with one thing. I mean, we did have discussions about this concept of a zero tolerance hammer on particular types of misbehavior. In those conversations, I never got a sense that the board as a majority was in favor of that kind of approach. If that's something that there is a majority of interest in, I would need to know that, because we would have to revisit our policy. The change that we made to our code of conduct did not conceive of that. It conceived of a very specific progressive discipline of first, second, and third offense for this specific category of misbehavior at Annan, and that was something that we worked on together and took board action on to approve. So if you want to go in a different direction than that, I would need to know.
Go ahead.
Well, just to be clear, by advocating for potentially as an option sterner discipline standards, I'm not advocating for zero tolerance, because I don't personally think that's the way to go. I think each one of these cases is different, as we have heard as a board in closed sessions, and I think taking a look at them requires nuance applicable to the situation. So just to put it out there, what I'm advocating for would not be a zero tolerance policy.
Okay. We are up to facilities operations report. Keith.
Yes, so the Facilities and Operations Committee met on Thursday, December 21st. All our work order statuses are posted online in the minutes. I'm not going to go through every one because there's a lot and it's just numbers and they change by now. However, the trend lines are all going in the right direction. I do keep a month-to-month tally, and I think you can see the number of open work orders, the ones that are aging over 90 days, continue to go down, and that's a testament to Mr. Mickley and Mr. Volo. They're doing a great job there. Item number 2 was the Sustainable New Jersey update. So for those who aren't aware, this was in response to a student inquiry into the program. The board would have to pass a resolution for that. Then the Ridge Green team would submit documentation on what it's doing as far as green initiatives, recycling, solar energy, et cetera. Committee kind of came to the landing zone that this would have to be a green team project, and the direction is for interested students to work through the existing green team club for that. Construction project updates. A lot of stuff getting finished. The Ridge HVAC is on the punch list. So is the Americans with Disability Walkway. Cedar Hill water main is fixed. The WAMS paving loop, we're getting some credit back because the excavation was less than needed, so maybe $60,000 coming back to us. That's good news. Varsity Field, there is an update on the DEP, and Mr. Rolo will fill us in a little bit on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we heard that one section of the very cumbersome and 15-month plus evaluation process of the application has been cleared. We still are awaiting the final arrival of the LOI, the letter of interpretation, which would be what we need to develop the fields. But the application has moved to the next stage, and we're waiting to hear on how long that final stage will take.
So we've cleared the Endangered Species Act hurdle?
Yes, the Threatened and Endangered Species Unit has completed their evaluation.
Great Ridge Spotted Toad is safe. Okay. Number 4 was the recap of the 25 to 26 budgets or projects, including the budget. There's a link in the minutes. Potential equipment purchases for 25, 26. Bus and athletic field trip. Bus for athletic and field trips. The committee discussed $120,000 for a new bus versus a $27,000 a year lease. The committee is recommending budgeting for the bus pending a cost-benefit analysis and exploration of having district-employed drivers for that. District is looking for some new maintenance vehicles, new maintenance van for $40,000, replace one maintenance van from 2009, another $40,000, replace the dump truck with a blown engine, and that's about $70,000. Need all this stuff. The committee recommends these vehicle proposals. The phone system in the district is over 20 years old, and it's beyond technical support. For instance, right now, replacement parts can only be found on eBay. So we're looking to, yeah, it sounds funny, but it's probably a big pain in the wear. Looking to replace phones where they're existing, not add new lines. The recommendation is to price out some district options. We may not need as many phones as we currently have, so cutting down that number could potentially save on project costs. We're talking about potential weight room equipment replacement, and that's being explored. And then we had a pretty lengthy discussion about storage options for cell phones that took place in the context of the district's Restoring Focus efforts. So more to that to come as we move along, I'm sure. And next committee date meeting will be January 16th.
What was the choice on the bus? New bus or lease bus?
A new bus for purchase for approximately $120,000 versus leasing one for $27,000 per year. So within 5 years, the new bus would pay for itself, and it's pending an exploration also on the viability of getting more district-employed drivers.
We also talked about maybe getting used bus.
Used bus, yeah, right.
We could find one.
Yeah. All right. Any questions? Yeah, Dave.
So the only one I want to talk about, and maybe this is for the committee, but is the telephones. I know most companies don't even use telephones anymore. It's all through the computer, so I think there's a lot of ways. I'm sure we can't get rid of them completely because we're a public school, but I'm sure there's a lot of ways we can save in there.
So I just want to jump in on that a little bit, because I know that our IT director is kind of looking at this project from a couple different angles, and it's true that there is, we're obviously in a different paradigm with phones, but we do have some laws as they relate to emergency communication and staff being able to essentially hit a button in their classroom to call 911. And given how dated our entire phone system is, the way they integrate with the intercom system and be able to quickly communicate from classroom to main office, classroom to nurse's office, classroom to another classroom that has a student that's finishing a test. There's a lot that goes on there, and our current system, to call it dated, would be extremely euphemistic. It's beyond that. So in order to get compliant with laws and kind of get up into the modern era of phones, we are looking at a situation of phones being installed in every single classroom. We had taken a look at a concept of just trying to place in kind wherever we have a phone with another phone. When our IT director got into some of the nitty-gritty of what's currently in the classrooms, the project took on a little bit of a different scope. I don't know if Jim wants to jump in at all, but we are, we'll certainly bring all of this to the board as we continue to talk about it. But I just wanted to let you know that was an accurate depiction of what happened in the committee. That's very accurate, and there's nothing wrong with the minutes, but while it was kind of on the table, I just kind of want to let you guys know as we're thinking about this, it might take a different look in the final recommendation, but I don't know if you want to add anything else to that, Jim.
Yeah, just the idea that the phone system as the phone system, our IT director was looking at it, the idea of the phone system kind of merging with the PA system and emergency response, it kind of took a little bit of a different dimension, because the newer systems now all integrate rather nicely and offer a significant set of safety features. So that's kind of what caused them to pivot a little bit and look at options that would include those to see what the cost would be with those additional safety enhancements that would allow people to easily respond to emergencies happening in their classroom, notify the building, go into different security codes and that kind of thing.
Any other questions about facilities? Nope. Okay, great. Liaison committees, Janice, you have Somerset County Ed Services?
I do.
Thanks.
Somerset County Educational Services Committee met on December 4th to approve various finance, transportation, personnel, policy, and programming items. A representative from the Commission's auditor, Suppley, Cooney and Company, presented the highlights of the 2024 audit. There were no recommendations, and he expressed his thanks to Board Secretary, School Business Administrator Jeff Sapola, and staff for an exceptionally smooth process this year. In his superintendent's report, Harold Dunsavage acknowledged that comments from board members regarding proposed tuition increase prompted the Commission to consider alternative funding options. The sale of a portion of the Commission's buses will allow for a freeze on tuition for the coming year. Mr. Dunsavage noted that 30 Commission students are scheduled to graduate this coming June. That's an unusually high number. He's in the process of meeting with district superintendents to determine the number of potential students for the coming school year. If the current number of intakes remains steady at 2 and 3 new students per week, Mr. Dunsavage feels that the Commission will be able to maintain their current levels of programming and staff. Commission staff is scheduled to attend a January 17th Professional Development Day on the topic of restorative justice. Staff is focusing this year on positive reinforcement. Beginning in January, counselors will recognize 10 students each month who will be invited to have breakfast or lunch with Mr. Dunsavage as an incentive for positive behavior. And the next Commission meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 5th.
Thanks, Janice. I guess somebody has some buses for sale there, so. Any other liaison committee reports or questions for Janice about Somerset County Ed Services? Keith?
Not a question for Somerset County, but just a little bit of interest in doings in the town council that could have potentially have some effect on the schools. I'm going to be very neutral in these comments here and just tell you what's going on and encourage you to pay attention. So there's a proposal to put movie studios as well as a community center and some housing for adults with special needs over by Verizon. Some of you may be aware of this. There's pros and cons. Some of the potential pros could be beyond the special needs housing for our adults who could use those services, and a community center would be movie studios that could possibly, maybe, be open to rich students, could benefit our theater department, could benefit our pathways department with internships and things of that nature. Cons, well, I mean, we just saw it with the other Allen Road project. It could be traffic. It could be, that's not a movie studio owned by a movie studio. It's owned by a company. So who they rent to and the type of projects they approved, I'm not sure about that either. So, there's potential ups and downsides. I would just encourage you to pay attention. And if you're so interested in township affairs, go to the planning board meeting tomorrow night. And there's also a township committee meeting where they'll be voting on this on December 23rd. So if you don't have enough to do on the day before Christmas Eve, get out for a town council meeting. And I just want to let everybody know what's going on because it can potentially affect the schools and potentially affect all of us as townspeople. That's it.
Any questions for Keith or any other liaison committee reports? Nope. Okay, we are up to public comment on anything that's relevant to the schools. If you have a public comment, come on up to the mic, say your name and address, sign in with your name and address, and then you have 3 minutes for public comment.
Hi, still Debbie Marcus, still 16 Lafayette Lane. It's nice to hear some discussion about a lot of the items. Just these came to mind. I wasn't planning to come up again, but when you were talking about the joy rides, joy routes, sorry, they should not be taking joy rides, efforts and the training. Are we including the school psychologists in the training? Because a lot of what I'm hearing spoken about, the empathy, is what I presume the school psychologists have background in, and they're already working with the kids on empathy. So maybe they would be some of the people we could train to train the trainers, more so than some of the teachers. And a lot of our psychologists have been in the district for an extended amount of time and are familiar with the students, so that's something to maybe try to emphasize and encourage more. And secondly, although it's nice to hear there's some discussion about data, it's still a little odd to me that the company itself has not provided data from the multiple schools they've already worked with. And if they are going to use our school to collect it, then we should take advantage of that and get significant discounts. Because we'll be providing them ways for them to get more business in the future if the results are positive. But finally, I do still emphasize, and I try not to sound like a broken record, but you need to present some outcomes that would define success before everything's implemented, so that when you get results, I mean, obviously there will likely be some improvement because just attention's being put on it. But you need to say, if we're spending this amount of money, we expect to see at least this. I'll give it a range. It doesn't have to be a specific number because it is these fuzzy areas. What kind of effectiveness you want for the amount of time and money and resources that we're putting into this, because there are always other approaches that can be taken, and also once our psychologists are trained, we can maybe run with that and not having to keep investing more of money that can be spent on other things that can help too. Thanks.
Thanks, Mrs. Marcus. Any other people for public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. Anything on that?
No, we are working on the data aspect. I understand the idea of setting a benchmark and trying to hit a certain target on an improvement level with student behavior outcomes, for example. The only caution I have there is you don't want to create an artificial influence, if you will. I'd like to see the data improve granularly as a result of all of the collective efforts, rather than to make people feel like, well, we can't have too many HIBs because we've spent money on training. Let it be what it'll be, and if there's improvement, then we can point to what we think is improving it. To really say for sure, given all the variables, we've talked about this, and I'm not going to make it up. I'm not going to say, oh, well, yeah, we did that, so 100% sure that's the fix, that's the magic bullet. I think there's a lot of variables, and Keith has advocated for some of them, and we all have views on how this goes, but I feel like this is our house when the kids are here, and we have to do the best that we can, even though it's not home. It's home for 6 hours, and we're the parents while they're here, so we're doing the best we can, and we want to try to make a positive difference, and that's what we're trying to do here. So appreciate your patience, and we are collecting data in all sorts of ways.
Okay, great. We're up to board forum. Anybody want to say in board forum? No? Keith? Oh, Dave.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is the right time, but I wanted to say thank you to Kirsten and Tim for their time and dedication to the board. Serving on the board is no small feat. It's a very demanding and often thankless job. So Kirsten, while we didn't always see eye to eye, I appreciate the times we worked together to find common ground. One of the unique perks of this job is the candy stash that we get at the meetings. We may have disagreed on the best candy, but we always found a way to trade and make it work. Much like the budget decisions we tackled this year, despite challenges like inflation, we navigated tough choices, including compromises on tax increases, triple-tier busing, and personnel. In addition, Nick and Jim, along with the Finance Committee, are continuing to find additional savings in areas like healthcare, additional bus routes, and maintenance staffing, even after the budget was finalized. These efforts underscore the continued financial scrutiny we will continue to bring to the board. Tim, what can I say about you? You probably don't know this, but you're actually the reason I decided to run for the board. Watching you in meetings, I admired your ability to clearly explain your votes and bring a level-headed to heated discussions. When I joined, you made sure I understood the history of issues and took the time to simplify legal complexities for us non-lawyers. More than that, you made this experience enjoyable, whether it was lightening the mood with jokes, using our first names to make discussions feel more personal, or owning up to the WHAMS naming idea and with humor and grace. And of course, I cannot forget your record-breaking speed with reading the public notice statement. Your efficiency will be missed. Thank you both for your contributions to the board. I'm sure I will be calling you for advice in the future.
Thanks, Dave. Anyone else for Keith?
Yeah, that was exactly the time for that. And I'm gonna echo it a bit. Tim, thank you for your service to the board. I mean, we haven't always seen eye to eye, but I respect your service, absolutely. I respect your perspective. I think anybody who puts themselves up here week after week, year after year is to be commended. And I think having a variety of views on the board leads to a better product all around. So thank you. Robin, congratulations on your reelection. I look forward to working with you again next year and collaborating where we can and discussing where we disagree, and that's fine too. And Kirsten, you're going to be missed up here. You know, I found you a super steady hand at finance. I think you came in and offered a valuable new perspective when you first came on the board, and I think you know, the town owes you thank you, and I thank you. I'm going to miss you. And to the people joining the board next year, look forward to working with you. You know, I would just say keep an open mind, listen to everybody's perspective, and vote your conscience, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all up here to do. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy Hanukkah. They almost coincide this year. And, you know, whatever your faith, you have a very happy and prosperous 2025. That's it.
Thanks, Keith. Anybody else? Robin?
Yeah, I just want to say a special thank you to Tim. Your years on the board were challenging, to say the least. We lived through a pandemic and a lot of other challenges, and you always stayed, you always had a sense of humor during it, which was amazing, but you stayed steady and you focused on what was important, which is the kids. So I just really want to thank you for that, and I know you're still going to be contributing for the kids in our town. I hear you've been hit up already by at least one sports organization to take on more of a leadership role, and I know you're coaching, and we'll see you on the fields cheering the kids on, so I'm sure I'll be seeing you on the soccer field, but I wanted to thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Nimesh?
I'll just keep it short by echoing the comments already made. Thank you to both Kirsten and Tim for leading this year, and good luck in whatever else you guys do. But happy holidays, everyone, and see you next year.
Anybody? Jen?
You know, I don't keep things short, Tim, and I wrote it down because I don't want to forget anything. So I want to thank you for your years of service, and most of all, for your outstanding leadership this year. You came on the board as just a dad who cared about kids, yours and all of ours, and you had no personal agenda other than a commitment to the community. You put in the work to learn all the different facets and the responsibilities of a board member. You asked questions, boy, did you ask questions, which sometimes led to some very lengthy committee meetings, but we knew it was because you wanted to be able to make decisions based on fact. You were always willing to fill in any open spot on a committee meeting, even stepping up to handle writing someone else's minutes. Your voice of reason and calm, your unwavering ethics, and your self-deprecating humor are just a few reasons your presence on this board has been so vital. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to Berners Township. You'll be missed. And I hope to see you sitting out there in the audience in the coming months, and I look forward to the questions that I know you will continue to ask.
Thank you. I'll probably be sitting in the bleachers watching basketball games or something like that, but I'll be close. Anybody else for board forum? Janice?
Tim, I just want to thank you for your leadership, and as a new board member, I really appreciated your outreach and your willingness to answer questions whenever they came up, and I felt like I was pretty well trained, and I just appreciate your openness and your willingness to work with us. So thank you for that. Best of luck to you, Kirsten, and to you, Tim. We will miss you.
Thanks, Janice. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. Since it's my final board meeting, my wife made me say that. I had this awesome idea where I was gonna go out like the final episode of The Sopranos, where like I would give a speech and Don't Stop Believing would be playing in the background, and then the YouTube feed would like cut to black, and like no one knows what happened, and it would like, there would be an article in the Burnersville News and all the suspense would be created, but Nick said no, because we can't use emergency funds to license the rights from Journey for Don't Stop Believing, so that didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. But I do appreciate all the sentiments. Just kind of some notes I wrote here. You know, most people say that being a board member is a thankless job and comes with 0 perks besides the candy. And they're right about that. It is thankless and there are 0 perks. But I do feel very lucky to have had this opportunity. Like almost everybody else in town, when somebody asks why we moved to Basking Ridge, I say because of the schools. But now having been up here and worked with all these folks and the staff and parents, I think what I really mean is to say we moved here because of the school community. The teachers, the aides, the counselors, supervisors, administrators, coaches, club advisors, and then the parents and the PTOs and the booster clubs and all the other volunteers, including the board members that are up here with me and that I've worked with in the past. Everything is the school community. All those people are the school community that support kids in Basking Ridge and give them all these amazing opportunities, things that I've never, you know, seen in other districts, I never had growing up, and it's just, it's amazing that it's all here for these kids. And I think that's why most people move to Basking Ridge, and that's certainly why we did. I will miss committee meetings despite Jen's admonishment that I was a serial interrupter and a questioner. It was great because you have the chance to hear directly from teachers and administrators who are all exceptionally talented. And even when I disagreed with them and challenged them, or during the heat of negotiations sometimes, they were all intellectually honest, respectful, and professional, and I hope I reciprocated that behavior. I'll also really miss hearing directly from the kids. It takes a tremendous amount of confidence for those kids to come up here at a board meeting or with the student government and voice their concerns to a group of adults that looks imposing and say something in front of their peers where they don't know what the reaction is going to be. So I'm just very glad that this school community supports kids and gives them the confidence to do that. Just a few quick thank yous. Obviously, thank you to my family for allowing me to donate my time to the school district. I know my wife is thrilled to have me back in the Monday night carpools. Thank you to my fellow board members, past and present. My best wishes for the new board in the new year. And thank you to everyone in the school community. And then Jim and Sean and Nick and Kristen. I know there's going to be a huge fight tomorrow at the board office about who's going to miss me most. But I really enjoyed working with each and every one of you, and I will miss it. So thank you very much to everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful and relaxing holiday break and New Year. And go Ridge. Motion to adjourn. Jen and Kirsten, all in favor? Aye. Have a good break, everybody.